All right. We're live with another episode of Purpose Maker, Midlife Wisdom Podcast. My guest today is Jim Rummer. Jim, thank you so much for stopping in the studio and chatting with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and can't believe we finally pulled it off. It's been a while. We've been trying to adjust our busy schedules, and I think we've been at this for maybe a month and a half or something. We finally pulled it off.
Every time I text you, you're hunting.
Oh, no, come on now. Maybe a little bit. I did take a little trip out to Wyoming.
So Jim sent me his, what would you call it, your resume?
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the first resume I've ever read that every page says, I love hunting.
So this is how we're going to start this out.
We're going to have some fun today. All right, so I'm going to read Jim's bio, and I'm particularly interested in talking to you today about what you're doing with the CTE stuff up here.
Yeah.
And so that has a big bearing and effect on people in midlife. You know, and I was telling you before we got on the air today, we define midlife between about 30 and the nursing home. That's the middle phase.
Mhm.
So we're not doing a chronological like midlife. We're doing it more like this is a huge phase of life that lots of different transitions happen. You get married, you have kids, your parents are getting old, your careers are getting defined. You could even be retiring. Like these are all things that happen in there. So I'm gonna read this real quick because I'm very impressed with what Jim's doing. And then we're going to get into a deep conversation on some of the stuff you've been working on.
That's great.
Jim Rummer is the pioneering regional director in career and technical education at Charm ISD in Northern Michigan. He spent nearly 2 decades transforming the vocational programs into purpose-driven pathways for thousands of students. Starting with just a handful of courses in 2006, Jim has expanded these offerings to over 20 innovative fields, from drone technology to line work training to mobile STEM education. Doing all this while securing community funding, which we'll talk about because that's probably got its pros and cons in the community. He's also forged partnerships with industry giants like the Great Lakes Energy and Michigan Works. This is a real important one. He's honored as Michigan's 2023 CTE Administrator of the Year. That's a big one, Jim. Jim embodies midlife wisdom by championing skills, trade as high impact, fulfilling careers that empower young people to build meaningful futures. His relentless commitment to doing what's best for kids inspires educators and purpose seekers alike. Jim, that's pretty cool. You're doing a lot on that side. The reason this is an interesting conversation is most people listening probably have either a child that's in this pathway, not in it, but, you know, like of the age, and then maybe a parent that has grandkids that are going out into the workforce. So I like to start off by getting to know kind of people's background. So can we start way back at the beginning?
Yeah, sure.
Like where did you grow up? Where were you born?
Yeah.
Let's start there.
Yeah, I grew up in Mason County, and I don't know if you know a little town area. It's Custer near Ludington, Michigan, and just a tremendous area to grow up as a kid. Remind me a lot of Mayberry, just great community support. You had so many extended family members, and they weren't family members. They were just community members that were like family to you. And so I just have such great memories of growing up there. And along the lines, so when I was in school, I thought at our CT department, we talk about kids don't know what they don't know. And so I think that goes for most kids, right? And so
it goes for most people, man.
so for me, in high school, I really thought I'd want to be like a wildlife biologist, something along those lines. And along came my junior year, and there's a gentleman, God rest his soul, Jack Trimmel. He was such a popular, such a respected educator in our area. And he had been a teacher back in the day, and then he went into administration, was a principal, and did a great job at that for many years. And he missed a classroom. And so he went back into the classroom my junior year, and he grabbed me I don't know, we're in a grocery store or something like that, right before school's ready to start. He said, "Hey, I was looking over your class schedule for next year, and I see that you have this study hall." He said, "That's not happening." I said, "What are you talking about?" He says, "You're not going to be in a study hall. You're going to be my teacher's aide." And I'm not going to lie, deep down, I kind of, as much as I respect him, I'm kind of rolling my eyes thinking, all right, so you're going to have me in grading papers and just.
Oh yeah. This is your senior year. You want to be on cruise control.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I thought about him like, well, I can't say no to Jack Trimmel. I have so much respect for this man. And little did I know it was going to be so transformational for me and in my future. And it was going to set the trajectory off of where I was about to go to and where I hope I'm still headed. And so when I got into the classroom with him, it wasn't just grading papers and being a gopher. He let me help team teach. I got to help lesson plan with him. I worked with certain students who were struggling in the classroom. That year it was a freshman pre-algebra class that I was in.
Oh yeah.
And I just loved it. The light bulb clicked for me, and I'm like, I can't imagine not doing this for a living. So then came around my senior year, and he had me in with a 7th grade math class, and I did the same thing. And so then from that point on, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to go into education. I went to the community college for a couple of years. I was one of those guys. I was 17 years of age when I graduated, just turning 18. And so I wasn't ready for the big university life and things like that. So I stayed back. And that was a great decision. So 2 years on the dean's list at the community college, got myself, kind of straightened out and pointed in the right direction. And then I went off to Central Michigan University, which was back then such a revered school for education, still is. And fire up, by the way, go fire up.
There you go, the chips.
And I went there and got my undergrad degree in elementary education. So it was K-8 with math and science emphasis.
Mm-hmm.
And so once I got my teaching degree in hand, I started looking at sending resumes out. And I grew up in this Ludington area, which is, just south of Traverse City, north of the Pentwater area. And I knew I loved Lake Michigan area. So I sent resumes in. I went, you couldn't do this for a period of time, but back then there was enough jobs. I sent from Pentwater to the Mackinac Bridge, 10 miles inland. And I started getting some calls and had some interviews. And I had the opportunity to stay in the Mason County area. I had a couple offers. And then there's this one school, Petoskey, Michigan, or Petoskey Public Schools.
Yeah.
And I talked to my parents. I said, that's 3 hours away. I don't know anybody up there. And I really have so much respect for my mom and dad and really value their opinions. And so they said, it is a long ways away, but there's just something about this place. We feel like it's calling you, like at least see it through. Go have this interview. So I went up there and had an hour and a half interview with Carl Moser. He was the middle school principal at the time. And back then there were no committees. It was just a principal and you.
Yeah.
And I remember walking in, he had a deer head on the wall. I'm like, well, this is pretty cool. And I said, hey, nice deer head on the wall. And he goes, let's get down to business. And I'm like, oh, this guy's no messing around here.
Yeah.
And so for an hour and a half, I spent this time with him. And I just really didn't have a good feel about the interview. I didn't think it went that well personally by just reading Carl's body language because he was all business. And little did I know, before I left those doors, he had already been down the hallway. And I found this out later that he was talking to some teachers, and there was a couple parents in the hall, and says, I think I found our next science teacher in the 6th grade. And so I drove 3 hours home thinking, well, that was probably an epic fail. And I got the call and said, would you like to meet with our superintendent? So I did. And kind of the rest is history. I went in and I was a math science teacher at the 6th grade at the middle school.
Is that where the building currently still sits?
Yeah. It had only been open a couple of years prior to me getting there, and they were a blue ribbon school. And I remember Carl telling me, he goes, I'm going to tell you right now, he goes, I have the best middle school staff in the state of Michigan. And I'm thinking, well, probably every principal says that, right?
Sure.
Little did I know he had the best middle school staff in the state of Michigan. The way the bar had been set, you would see teachers 30 years into it, that they were there 7 a.m. every morning, and they were there till 5 o'clock in the evening, lesson planning and preparing. And to be able to be thrown into that kind of environment, it felt like I was on a honeymoon that never ended. It was just so awesome. And then John Heinzelman, who was hands down one of the best educators I've ever been around my life, he had started an adventure ed program. And so if you've heard about the ropes course out at Camp Daggett, the indoor and outdoor course, I don't know how many people know this anymore, but way back in the day, that started at Petoskey Middle School. It actually started at his house, and then it went off to the middle school, and all of our staff were trained with that. And every one of our staff meetings, there was an adventure ed component that was built into it, and all this team building and bonding. And so I could see quickly that and clearly that was one of the best staffs in the state of Michigan.
Sure.
Hands down. Yeah,
somebody had some good vision on how to do that.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I was in the classroom for 5 years, and I always aspired to be an administrator. Some of my dad's very best friends were school administrators. And to this day, I have so much respect for them and the impact they were able to make. And so as much as I loved the classroom, I thought maybe there'd be a way I could impact more kids on a larger scale. And John Jeffrey, another gentleman, God rest his soul, man, I have so much respect for, was our superintendent at the time. And we would have conversations. He knew where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. And I remember one summer he called me and said, listen, we have an opportunity for you to come up to the high school. We had someone just leave. It was right before school's ready to start. What do you think about coming over as an interim administrator? And I remember laughing to myself. He says, here's the deal. We're going to do 1 year. And he goes, if you don't like it at the end of the year, you can go back in the classroom and it's a great spot to go.
That's a good deal.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
he says, if we think you're dog meat at the end of the year, we can send you back to the classroom.
Uh-huh.
And it was probably 9 months into it. And I loved it. He said, let's make this a permanent thing. And so I did that for the next 6 years. And what was so important about those years, when I left Petoskey High School as an administrator, I had 6 years under my belt. I was the most junior to all the other administrators. The rest all had 25 to 35 plus years as administrators. So for me to be able to cut my teeth under that group of administrators, and they were all top shelf, I mean, tops of their game, was really, really life-changing for me professionally and personally speaking. Sounding like,
So that takes you, so now you're at the Petoskey High School. How long did you do that?
I did that for 6 years.
Okay. So then what's the transition from Petoskey High School? What's the next leg?
Yeah. So there's a gentleman named Mark Eckhart who was a superintendent over at Charm ISD at the time. And
what is that? What is Charm ISD?
That's our intermediate school district. So we support our local school districts, 11 local school districts and 2 charter schools in our 2.5 county area. So all of Emmett County, Charlevoix County, and part of Antrim County.
And ISD supports them.
Yeah. I always kind of laugh. We're kind of like a mothership, if you will. And we are a support service. It could be business services, technology services, special education services, which is a big thing that we do. And then career technical education services.
Giant.
And I happened to see him one day and he says, come on down to my office. And he goes, he'd been watching some things that I was doing over at Petoskey and some leadership opportunities that Petoskey had given me to lead with. And he said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I kind of laughed at him. And I said, well, and I'd always aspired to be at the ISD. That was always my end goal that I wanted to do. And I said, I want to work for you someday. He goes, well, it's funny you say that. He goes, I have a position that I think would be really good for you to apply for. But he goes, there's a retirement that needs to happen. And it's going to happen within a few years. But he says, in the meantime, I have this K-12 self-contained EI program, emotionally impaired program that we need a principal for. And would you consider throwing your name in the hat for it? So I did. And we thought it would probably be 2 or 3 years. Little did we know it would be a year and a half. I was in that position and I loved it. I worked with such an amazing staff and phenomenal kids. But this retirement happened a little sooner. And so then at that point, I was already working for Sharam. He made the administrative move and moved me into this administrative position I'm in now as the CT director. And that was 19 years ago.
Yeah, so CTE in healthcare is very difficult for me to read because it's that chronic encephalitis, chronic traumatic encephalitis.
Yeah.
Every time I read CTE, that's what I think.
Yeah.
So when I see it, it's challenging. But what does CTE mean in your world?
Yeah, so career technical education, and in a lot of regions, people start to talk about that when their kids are in high school because they think of a center-based program, and that's where you see that happen for juniors and seniors. Where we're really different, I wouldn't say unique because there's other ISDs that do this, but certainly I say lesser than more.
Innovative.
Okay, yeah,
there you go, right?
Yeah, we are, and we're K-12. We really look at it as a K-12 comprehensive program, and so we are into the local districts, supporting our local schools, provide career technical education opportunities for kids from kindergarten all the way up. We almost talk about it's darn near cradle to career. And so we're into elementary schools doing all sorts of different events because I don't think there's ever an early enough time to turn young people and their parents on to all the different opportunities that await for them.
Yeah. And so is this a little bit of a response to how expensive college has gotten? Is it a combination of that plus some kids are not destined for college? Tell me how you think about that.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I would say all the above, and let me clarify that. So first of all, and this is Jim Rummer's opinion, but I think I would be in company with a lot of others that would say this. For far too long, I believe we encouraged, darn near forced too many kids to go off to college. And when I say college, I'm talking your 4-year programs or higher, not so much the 1-year certs and 2-year associates that I feel there's a really good return on investment. And don't get me wrong, you and I both have multiple undergraduate and graduate degrees. We needed them for our positions, and there's a lot of positions that require that. But there's so many positions that don't. And there was a commission, it was under Lieutenant well, it was Lieutenant Cherry, who was under Lieutenant Governor Cherry under Governor Granholm, that was making this big push on schools. So there's so much pressure to get kids into college, and they would grade you on how many kids went off to college, but they never asked you where were those kids a semester later or a year later or 4 years later, and what were they even doing with the degrees that they had and potentially college debt. And so that being said, I think that the trades were really lacking back in the day, that the awareness of all the different opportunities. Not that the trades weren't important. They were just as important back then as they are today. I think it was the awareness piece because of some of the things I just mentioned.
Sure.
And that started to change. And I'm so happy that it's changed. And I think it's a lot of what we're doing at our ISD and so many other ISDs around the state.
Mm-hmm.
And I've now looking at today, I've never seen the trade so hot and or career technical education. And don't get me wrong, we have a lot of kids that go into our CT programs that they still go off to college, 1-year certs, 2-year associates, postgraduate degrees, all the way up through.
Mm-hmm.
But we have a number of kids that can leave our programs and go right into the workplace. And
earn respectable incomes, like make a living.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that, because that's where I want to go to is when I speak to community groups, I always talk about return on investment. And so when I look at the opportunity that the trades provide, like think about this right now, 37.5 million baby boomers are ready to go out the door. Yet there's only 21 million people to replace those positions.
That's a problem.
And that doesn't include us Gen Xers, which are right on the heels.
Yeah.
And in Michigan alone, we're in the need to replace 15,000 trades jobs a year. And so we have high schoolers that can leave right out of our high school programs, our CT programs, where they have received some really good training and go right into the workplace without any extra debt or time,
right?
And make a really good living. I use these two examples, and once again, this is not bashing college, but how many people do you know that are walking around burdened with all sorts of college debt and are working in careers that they don't even have
that are
a
outside
degree?
Of their field.
Yeah, outside
Mm-hmm.
their field.
Mm-hmm.
So, as an example, any more college, the 4-year degrees are more like a 5-year trek. So think about that right now. And we're in this, I know you are. Our daughter's a senior in high school, and so we're looking at what college is going to cost us. It's about, for an in-state public institution, you're looking at $30,000 a year. So take student A, who's going to go away for 5 years, and that's $150,000 out the door, whether mom and dad can pay for it, which is a rarity, or they take student debt on at 6% interest.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's take my student, and this is a real case. Now this is an extreme example, but it's a good example. We had a student that went through our lineworker program, got hired right out of high school, started with the overtime, made $100,000 a year his first year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's going to do that for the first 3 years. Now, keep in mind, he's going to make more than that once he gets a journeyman status his 4th year. But let's just use simple math and say $150,000 went out the door with student A, and student B made $500,000 over that first 5 years. There's a $650,000 gap between those two students. And then keep in mind, student B, who's making the $100,000 a year, is really now up to $150,000, and the ceiling is yet to be met.
And has no debt.
Yeah. And then the student A might start out, if they're lucky, with a $50,000 a year job and has $150,000 debt in 5 years that they were in school, not making money where my student B was. When you say that to people, that's really eye-opening to them. And there's so many scenarios and situations I can talk about like that. And the other day I was meeting with a couple of gentlemen. He owns a collision repair shop. He said, Jim, you give us the right students, and there's no reason why in 4 years they can't make 6 digits a year working for us. That's a really good living.
Yeah. Not even owning the business.
Yeah. With a great return on investment. Yeah. I was speaking to a family the other day, and their son wants to be a teacher, so you have to go to college, and they've already figured it out. He has 17 years of debt that he'll spend $1,000 a month just paying off the student debt.
Yeah. It's owning a second home, but not owning it.
Exactly. We used to talk about kids could come out of college with debt equitable to a car payment. Well, now it's equitable to a house payment, yet they still need a house to live in. and then a car and everything else that goes with that. And so, once again, not dogging all the other jobs. There's some great jobs out there.
No, but the math just doesn't math.
Not at times.
And the fact that they'll loan that kind of money to an 18-year-old kid for college, but won't loan it to start a business, blows my mind.
I agree with you. You know, something else that we've been talking to some of our community foundations too is there's always been college scholarships, and we've been hearing how a lot of these scholarships have been left on the table because they haven't had students apply for them or they didn't meet the criteria. And I said, I really hope we can start looking at things differently. And what about that young person that leaves one of our career tech ed programs and needs equipment and or clothing or wants to start up their own business? Could we look at those scholarships doing something different for those students? And we're starting to see a trend change with that, which I'm very happy to hear about.
Well, you had said about 15,000 career technical jobs need to be replaced every year in Michigan, right?
Every year.
How many, do you know the total high school students in the state?
I don't know that, but I can tell you this is another problem that's happening. This axis, these two lines are going to cross here. So our ISD, when I first started, we had about 13,000 students K-12 in our 11 local districts. You know what we're at right now? 8,000 students.
Jeez.
And it makes sense. We have our population continues to grow here in Emmett County, as an example. Ages 65 and older make up 60+% of our population.
How much?
60+%.
60+%.
So now you take your working age folks that are ages 20 to 30, we've been on a negative decline. And what's so important about those folks, not only they are workforce, but they're having families.
Right. They're the kids.
Yeah. And so it's not a mystery to us that our enrollment has gone down. We've watched this happening. So we have all these jobs. People are leaving the workforce. Average workforce age right now is 50 plus. There's so many people getting ready to go out the door, and we have less young people. So does that sound doom and gloom? To some it could, but for me, when I speak to groups, and I spoke the other day at this East Jordan State of the Community, and they had all their seniors in the front rows. I looked at them and I just said, the opportunity that awaits all of you guys is unlike anything I've ever seen in my career. Nothing close. I mean, the light is so bright. And you remember back in the day, there was a time when you had to carpet bomb the state with your resume to try and just get a call, and get an interview. And so that has really changed.
Definitely changed a lot. What do you think are some of the forces other than just aging that's causing that? Because, like the median home price up here has skyrocketed.
Yeah.
I think it's over 800,000, the median home price.
It is. I saw that for Emmett County. It's over 800,000, the median. That's crazy.
So you're not coming in with a degree for childhood education and making a living.
No,
you're not doing that.
It's tough. And here's where I think there's some opportunities. We are having a hard time hiring people outside of our community because of the reasons you just mentioned. They'll accept a job verbally from us on a Friday and turn us down on a Monday because they can't find housing. So we've really tried to take a different approach and cultivate our own talent within, because we know that the talent is here. And think about it. Most of these young people do have the ability, and we're probably going to experience in our own home, you probably will too, where our kids can live with us for a few years beyond college and get established. And so
that's a necessity.
It's a necessity without question. And that's becoming a new reality here. And people are putting tiny homes on their properties and things like that to help their kids get a start. So I think we're going to see less young people leaving our community, because it's not unique to here either. I mean, it's across the state. So for our young people to look at jobs elsewhere is going to be tough. Something else I can't undersell enough is the military. And I know you have 2 daughters right now. They're looking at, is Hope in ROTC?
She is Air Force 3rd year.
And Hayden, I know, is looking at some of the academies.
She's got her appointment and interview with Bergman this weekend.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I had a young guy, a good friend of mine. He spoke to our group of counselors. They pull all the counselors together almost monthly during the school year. And he was a master gunnery sergeant. He was about 36 years of age at the time. He's retired now. He retired at 38, 20 in and 20 out, right? He's retired.
Yeah.
During his time in the military, he was in the Marines. He got a bachelor's degree, got a master's degree, has the GI Bill waiting for his son when his son is of age. Worked all those years, and it wasn't braggadocious. He had 2 other sergeants with him. They put their pay stubs up on, they put it up on the big screen. And I watched all the counselors look at that. And I said, how many of you make that money that they're making right now? And they're going to be retired in 20 years.
At 40 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And their jaws dropped. And what was really encouraging as well, and I think people oftentimes make this assumption, the military is it's all infantry and
right.
He said, do you realize, he goes, in the Marines, as an example, there's 700 MOSs. He goes, think of a small city. Every type of job you can think of, metal workers, woodworkers, linemen.
They're all in there.
They're all in there. Every single one of them. So now he's, I know he might be saying this. I think he's pushing 40 now. I think he maybe hit the golden age of 40.
Yeah.
He's working in the private sector. has his retirement, and he's just killing it in the private sector. And it was all those experiences he had, plus the degrees that he got while in the military at no cost.
Yeah. No, it's a good option.
Yeah, I can't oversell that enough.
Sure. Is that something that CTE offers as well, or is that outside of it?
Outside of it, but we
Yeah.
certainly have staff, SHRM does, that gets into our local districts. And so when we're doing career fairs and things like that, we always have a great representation of all the military branches at those events.
Nice.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
nice. So if we're talking to parents that don't understand much about what we're saying right now, the CTE stuff, where do you send somebody to go, oh, this is interesting. My kid probably is not set up for 4 years of school, but they want to learn.
For sure.
How many programs do you offer? And then the other part of that is, are these all taught at school, or are you sending people out into the community to learn these things?
Yeah, another great question. So our ISD is very different per se versus a lot of ISDs. A lot of ISDs have a center where
That's what I've heard.
Yeah,
Yep.
kids can be bussed in potentially an hour away to go to a program. When we passed our first millage back in 1996, the change of focus was we need to work in a consortium model. And think about it, one of our districts is Beaver Island, 25 miles out in Lake Michigan.
Right. Accessed by boat or plane only.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, right?
Right.
And then, mind you, as gorgeous as Lake Charlevoix is and Walloon Lake and some of these other lakes, they're big obstacles. And so for us, a consortium model really made a lot of sense. So we took the programs to the school. So we have 52 state-approved CTE programs in our local districts, and then due to the proximity of districts, kids can go across boundary lines. And so to answer your question about what should parents do, I highly encourage them to talk to their school counselors first and foremost, but then go visit our SHRM ISD CTE website. We have so much content that we had to build a standalone CTE website off from our SHRM website.
Yeah.
And it shows all of the different programs that we offer. And then there's 90-second snippets, these videos that our TV film production program put together. I mean, we have aviation, we've got drones, welding.
My youngest is doing the aviation.
Right now?
Haley, yeah.
I got to get up and see her up there.
Yeah.
Is she liking it?
So she's been flying with the Civil Air Patrol.
Oh, yeah.
So she flew from, and I know Civil Air Patrol is not part of CTE, but CTE program does it. She's flown from Harbor Springs to Sault Ste. Marie before she has her driver's license.
We have had students that actually got their pilot's license before they got their,
It's awesome.
or soloed at a minimum before their driver's license happened.
Yeah.
I love it.
It is pretty good.
And the jobs that are ahead of them, I mean, I don't know if you know this, but in the next 10 years, they figure there's a need for 500,000 pilots and 500,000 mechanics in aviation world. I mean, it's sky's the limit.
Right.
And you see that all the time. You see these flights that are delayed and they say that it's weather related or this or that. It's because the pilots have too many hours under their belt.
So that's interesting you say that, because we got delayed one time and I called and got somebody to tell me the truth. And it was exactly what you said. It had nothing to do with the weather.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm looking at the weather app. Don't pull that one. Right.
You're right.
It was definitely a mechanical.
Yeah.
They didn't have somebody to be able to check the plane before it flew.
But how cool is it that we have kids up in airplanes in high school? I mean, I want to go back to high school. I don't know about you.
To learn all this.
Yeah, to go back and try some other things. And that's the neat thing is we call it try it before you buy it. And that's the other thing I love about our career tech ed programs. And I can't stress this enough. As excited as we get when a young person thinks, oh, maybe I might have interest in that, or yeah, they put me in here. A lot of our classes are treated as electives because of the proximity and the availability, which is a good thing. And so they get in there and then all of a sudden it just turns them on. They're like, I didn't even think about this. And now this is what I want to do. But I also love it when we have kids that are, they are convinced that this is what they want to do. We've had kids that say, I want to be a doctor or a nurse. And then they get into our health OC programs and find out they're scared of needles. And so we're like, well,
see a little blood and almost pass out.
Yeah. And so maybe you need to go into, research or whatever else it may be. But to us, those are wins all day long when we have kids get into those early and find out maybe that's not what they want to do. Because we still hear stories, kids are, I'm going to always say kids, young adults.
Yeah.
They're juniors in high school and still haven't figured out what they're doing, or they get into something and they're like going in their senior year going, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life.
Sure.
I can't imagine doing this.
Yeah. I felt that in college.
Did you?
I was 3 classes away from my CPA exam when I switched.
Did you really? You and I have never had that conversation.
No, it's pretty interesting. Yeah. I was studying to become an accountant. And I've mentioned this on some other podcasts, but this is interesting. My advanced accounting teacher and professor, kind of like your counselor, He was the former controller for Harley Davidson.
Really?
And so by advanced accounting, there were 8 of us left, and you're whittling this down from 200 plus kids at regular accounting, getting in there. And he looked at me and said, you're not quitting, because his placement's 100%. He goes, I call a company, you have a job.
Yeah.
I just tell them who I am. And they're like, okay. And I'm like, I'm changing.
He didn't want his averages to be affected, did he?
No, probably not.
Yeah.
But he was right. I mean, it would be a very respectable career.
For sure.
Right. I've got some great CPA friends.
Same.
But it was definitely, for me, I was such a people person that it was just so much math and so much in the computers. And I've been very happy with the route that I've taken, but I was there with that career choice that I didn't want to go down that CPA exam.
So what changed? Like, what was the factor that had you start to think about chiropractic work? Like,
so that's a great question. So what happened, I'm looking at one of my exams and I'm trying to figure out like pennies, right? I'm like, man, I'm not going to spend my life doing this. I can't do this. I turn it in, tell them, hey, I'm going to change my major. So I ended up going into pre-med because I've always had an interest in that. So I'm doing the pre-med program, and I was driving home from college one time and I stopped by my old baseball coach's house. He was out cutting the grass. Swing in, tell him what I'm doing. He goes, man, before you make a decision on medical school, why don't you come check out chiropractic school? I'm like, all right, I'll do that. So he brought me out to Palmer, which is considered the fountainhead. This is where chiropractic started. Within 3 days, this was me.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Yep, I was in. I think that was like August 17th of 99. By August 30th, I had an apartment out there. Right, transferred all my credits, got into the chiropractic program, and it's been amazing. Like it's been an amazing life.
That's great.
So I've loved that. And then that got me introduced to other people. And that's kind of how like the Purpose Maker was built out of some of the other work that I do, but it all centers around healing. Okay, that's the core of my stuff. And so Purpose Maker, this started to come together because I figured out that people need a strong sense of identity and purpose in life. Right. And that's why I wanted to talk to you, because CTE, you give people purpose, right? They start to learn a very valuable skill. Now, I don't know if I want to be up on the side of a power line in the middle of a storm, but it'll get you out of bed knowing you got to do that.
Yeah. I don't want to do that either, but there's people that just live for that.
My brother-in-law, out in Iowa, he's a power linesman, and he's just since gone up in the administration because I think he's getting to that age where you're tired.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, and you talk about that too. The other thing I love about our Career Tech Ed programs, rarely do we have attendance issues in those programs. Kids want to be there. And I remember back in my building administrator days, I'd have a couple kids. I'm like, I know you don't want to go to English class or government, but you needed to graduate. And this is a trade-off. If you're going to building trades today or automotive or whatever else it may be, you got to go put your time in there. You got to do both.
Got to do it.
Yeah. And a lot of times that is what got them through to graduate.
Oh yeah. And I've got some friends that own automotive shops. They're pulling in, some of them 7 figures.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They've done very well.
For sure.
And they don't have 4-year educations. Intelligence does not predict income.
That's so true.
Right. I mean, income is based on hustle.
It is.
And you can hustle without a degree and you can hustle with a degree. Okay. So it's interesting looking at those two.
Can I tell another fun story?
Yeah.
So we were talking about 2 fun stories. So going back to the line worker student that when, made the $100,000 his first year. So when you go to buy a house, you go to the bank and when they look at debt to income ratio, right?
Sure.
So here you have a 19-year-old sitting in front of this mortgage officer.
Banker.
Yeah. And he's living at home. So he has 0 debt and he's got all income. So he's 19 years of age, living in Petoskey, Michigan, was offered $350,000 line of credit as a 19-year-old.
Right.
And so then I think of these other 2, we had a couple of twins and they were going to Petoskey Concord. And when I was saying earlier, kids don't know what they don't know. And that's what I love about us starting so much earlier and all the summer camps that we put together for kids and things like that. And we had a welding camp and these 2 young twins were probably freshmen or sophomores. They took this summer camp for 3 days and it just lit them up. They're like, this is what we want to do. So they ended up taking the welding program up in Pellston High School because, like I said, because of the proximity of districts, kids can go up and take classes at other schools.
Right.
So they did for the next couple of years. They left there, and I can't remember if they went to Hobart or what welding school they went to. And we reconnected with them. This was last spring, and they've only been out of high school a few years. They're both working welding, doing all these high-end jobs. And when we had called them and they sent us a short video, they've been at that particular time working for Nabisco. They were building a new Nabisco plant. And they said that they were making so much money that they actually took a month off because they were worried about any more income tax implications, and they didn't want to get into yet another bracket. And so they took a month off because of the money they're making.
Oh,
These
yeah.
guys are probably 22, 23 years of age.
Yeah, it was
Just
good
killing it.
stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we have countless stories like that.
Yeah, and welding is an incredible field.
Yeah, it's funny. People will ask me, so what are some really cool, innovative programs that you guys have started? And of course, it's easy to get into line worker, and we're the only high school program that has kids up on poles and the drones and the aviation and all those things. And then I mentioned welding, and I'm like, that's not new or innovative. I said, it is for our ISD. We had it 30 years ago, and unfortunately, it died on the vine back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's back with a vengeance now, and it's one of our most popular programs.
Sure.
Cosmetology, we just started over in Harbor Springs last year. When we survey our youth across our districts, that is the #1 most popular program that young people have interest in. You can only automate so many things. We're always going to need to go get our hair cut, and
So if you're going to say your top 5, cosmetology being #1, what would round out the top 5?
Yeah, we have kids that have a strong interest in collision repair, which we don't have one of those programs right now. So that's something we're working on. We don't.
There's some great collision shops in town.
That's the thing. And what we have found, and a lot of those programs are really expensive to start. And that's why I'm really proud of our ISD and through some of our relationships, and I'll use the line worker as our flagship. That program started out of a partnership with Great Lakes Energy. And there's so many other opportunities like that can happen where this partnering, because those businesses need our youth as badly as we need those businesses to help us out and get a start. They have the facilities, they have the people that have the know-how. And that's how it started with the line worker program. I sit on the NLEA board, and I laugh. It was after the meeting, and the CEO of Great Lakes Energy at the time, Bill Scott, was on this board. And then there was 2 reps from consumers and DTE. And he goes, do you guys mind hanging around afterwards? And I said, sure. He goes, I don't know where we're going to find our next line workers. And this was years ago. He was already seeing this happening and knowing that 50% of all line workers are eligible to retire by the end of the year 2020. And so I shot off at the cuff and said, well, let's start a high school program. And so as I left that meeting, I went back to my office, and my CT consultant at the time, I'm like, oh boy, I said, I hope I didn't shoot off the mouth prematurely here. She goes, what'd you do? I said, well, I'd like to start a high school line worker program if we can pull it off. She goes, let me dig into it. And at that time, at the state of Michigan, down in like Oakland County, they were piloting an energy fundamentals class. I'm like, well, energy fundamentals, that sounds fun. That sounds cool, but let's go bigger, go home. Let's start a line worker program. And so we worked to find a local district to do that with us, which was Boyne City Public Schools. And it would not have happened without Great Lakes Energy. You talk about a partner that provided facilities, all the poles, line trucks, the teacher. So the teacher was on loan. The school pays for part of the wages. Yeah. And then the best part of it is they took the whole summer, 2 line workers with a secretary, and they wrote the curriculum for this program.
How amazing.
That didn't exist at the high school level. That's the kind of partnerships that are happening now. And so this collision repair shop, they want to work with us and create an opportunity where these young people can go to their shop, let one of their individuals teach the class. And it's just the opportunities like that. We're just scratching the surface, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. And it sounds like you've built some pretty innovative programs.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So what do? Wake up in the morning and go, which program am I going to work on today?
It's funny you say that. So if you go in my office, I have a whiteboard, and my staff come in all the time, and there's programs that I would love to start. And I got to say this, and it's not a criticism, but if I was at a center in my role at a center, we would be doing a number of these where there's so many advantages of us being in a consortium, which I can speak to. I just mentioned about the availability of the classes. We have 52 programs. 80% of all of our kids, by the time they graduate, take at least one CTE program, where the percentages in other ISDs where you have a center, and this isn't bashing centers, they have other obstacles come in play. They're at 20 to 25% perhaps. Sure. what is frustrating for me is, so we have all these great ideas, but then we have to find a local school district that's willing to take this on. So
Mm,
when we started the cosmetology, we had it was Harbor Springs Public Schools. They had said, "Hey, we're looking at wanting to start something new. Do you have any thoughts?" Do we ever? And
yeah.
here's something that does not exist in our ISD. It's so popular now.
So you're just going to run out of school districts.
Well, that's the thing. There's probably a point where we're going to become solvent, maybe.
Yeah.
But that's a good problem to have, I guess.
Boyne City's really stepped up. I mean, you said
They-
lineman program. What's the other big one?
Well, they have their TV film production program. They have a long-standing construction technology program. They have a business program.
They're
the culinary.
They're really into it.
Oh, they are. But so are a number of our districts. We have a lot of districts that have really stepped it up. And then a lot of them have been just doing it for so long as it is. So I'm very encouraged about what we offer our kids, but I still feel there's more that we can go. And here's one that's a crazy one. But it so meets the needs of our community: taxidermy. We ran a 3-day.
Oh, interesting.
We ran a 3-day taxidermy camp. Ron Ferguson, one of the best taxidermists you're ever going to want to meet, taught this class. These kids were so into it. And if you know any local hunters or fishermen in the area, most taxidermists, once again, they're all 56 years of age.
It takes a year to get your stuff back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And right now, that most of them are turning work away because they can't do all the work and they can name their price.
Yeah. It's just one person.
Yeah. And so I really feel that as something, and it's artistry. So you think of so many students that have a real keen interest in art. And so that's something we'd like to pull off of the district. And so that's something I hope we can bring.
It's interesting you say that about somebody retiring, because I had a taxidermist that's a patient of mine that retired.
Yeah.
I used to go to his shop, and it was unbelievable how much stuff he had in there. He was telling me a story once. He's hunting in Canada, and apparently in Canada, wolves are a problem, and the outfitters carry wolf tags.
Yep.
So one stepped out on the power line, and the outfitter said, "Take it." Right. He said that wolf fully dressed was 212 pounds.
I believe it. They're huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
He said he couldn't believe it when they walked up on it.
Yeah.
How large those wolves were.
Oh, they're big.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Has that turned into a CTE?
Not yet, but I've been in conversation with a couple of school districts about that. And I really, and Ron would be so great. I know he works by day in another job, but I think he could be someone along the lines of Ron. Because that's the other thing. You can't just find a warm body that meets, you can check all the check boxes.
Right.
You
Have
need
to
that
have
kid
the
magnet.
skill.
Yeah, the skill, obviously, but you
And
need
be
that,
able to teach.
you need that kid magnet.
Yeah.
And that is something, I don't know if you know this, that I think is so cool about Career Tech Ed, is we do have some flexibility that most traditional academic teaching positions don't have, or schools have the ability to take advantage of. In our Career Tech Ed world, we can take someone that has those years of experience, and that equates to being able to be hired in our
Sure. You create a position.
Yeah, if they have 4,000 recent relevant hours over the last 10 years, we can hire them as teachers under what's called an annual authorization. So we do have people that are coming right out of the workplace or through these partnerships that are teaching for 2 hours a day for us. They're doing a tremendous job. And a lot of times they want to cut themselves short. They're like, well, I don't have a teaching degree. And I'm like, you're passionate about what you do. You know
You're
what you
teaching
do.
a skill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these kids are here. They're ready. They're ready to be molded. And there are some of these folks that have come right out of business industry, the sector there, that are so good.
Yeah. And skills are how you make money.
Totally.
Right. And the more skills you refine and the more stuff you learn, you can make a good living
For sure.
with skills.
For sure.
Yeah. So the motive behind this is so you can get some of your hunting stuff taken care of, isn't it?
Yeah, there you go.
That's it. You're like,
That
I
is
got a big muley. Who's going to work on this?
That is a strong hobby of mine. Although my wife won't allow any heads in the house, we joke about it. So I'm like, I'm not going to probably pay for taxidermy.
Did you build a big pole barn? It should be full.
We have a pole barn.
That's where all your heads should be.
It has the Euro mounts. I don't have the shoulder mounts.
Yeah, no, they get a little pricey. So, yeah, where'd your passion for hunting come from?
My dad, my dad, and my grandfather.
Dad's still around?
No, my dad unfortunately passed about 15 years ago. Vietnam veteran, Agent Orange, all that good stuff.
He struggled a little bit at the end of that.
Yeah, he did. But no, my dad and my grandfather, there's pictures of me at 3 years old in a canoe. My grandfather checking his trap lines, and hunting and fishing. It was just part of art. That was everything. If I wasn't in sports or in school, that's what I was doing.
Oh,
Just
those are
loved
good
it.
memories.
Yeah, great passion. And I've loved being able to impart some of that knowledge onto my own daughter and other youth in our area that I've taken under my wing, or, you know, that their parents don't hunt, but they want their kids to get into it.
Sure.
They have an interest. And so that's been a lot of fun. And then, you know, about our tip of the mitt whitetails.
Tell me about, I want to hear it. This is one of your big passions.
Yeah, I got a lot of passions.
Well, this is a big one though.
Yeah, this is really cool. And
Yeah.
what's so cool about it is the group of people that are part of our group. I don't know how many years ago now. I want to say it was almost 15 years ago. We started a branch of hunters in the area, and our interest was to promote hunting, to promote good sound practices in terms of habitat management and
ethical hunting.
Yeah, and conservation. And you know, a lot of people have different opinions about hunting, and I get where it comes from, but a lot of people think people just want to get out there and it's the kill and the thrill of the sport. And for most of us, it really is. You evolve as a hunter, and it's this conservation piece. And that's what I am so proud of our branch and our group, what we've been able to do to teach so many young people, well, people of all ages, I should say, about
how important that is.
Yeah. In fact, we have a couple guys that they teach. They call it the New Hunters Guild. They're taking adults. So adults they could be 40 years of age, never hunted. They want to get into the sport, but never knew how to. And so they're taking them out in the field. And I don't know if there's a more important time to do that. We're losing 20,000, 25,000 hunters a year in the state of Michigan. We're down, I think, 250.
I read 200 plus thousand.
Yeah, it's
hunters.
Crazy.
Yeah.
The sport is dying, unfortunately.
Sure. Well, I didn't grow up hunting, and I'm the oldest of 4, and all of my siblings hunt.
Do they really?
So everybody has had a passion for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you think about from science perspective, without hunting, can you imagine what that does with lack of hunting, what it does to the population of whatever species you're after? I mean, we need management.
Yeah, people have to understand the objective side behind it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what my daughter, we've been so big about that in our home, and we love the taste of wild game. We love wild game. So first and foremost, we do it for the food. It's not that we can't afford to go buy beef
for the health benefits.
The health benefits too, for sure. And then we love the sport. But she has been brought up from a very early age that this is why we do it, how we do it. But anyhow, our branch it's become a household name around this area.
Sure.
We got a Facebook page, about 15,000 followers, which is pretty cool.
Well, didn't it start as QDMA?
Yeah, back in the day, we fell under a national branch called Quality Deer Management Association. And then, in fact, we were National Branch of the Year 1 year across all the United States and Canada.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then they morphed into an NDA, National Deer Association, and then some management happened. I won't get into all the details at the national level, but it just made sense to us to break away. So we dissolved as a branch under that organization, but we still felt as a group of mostly guys. There's some ladies that certainly help us out too. We just felt like there's still good work to do, and we couldn't just turn our backs and walk away from that. So we dipped into our own pockets, hired an attorney, and set up our own 501c3 and nonprofit. And so we're tip of the mitt whitetails.
Yep.
And just doing great things. And we support so many local youth groups, the Sporting Clays group up in Pellston.
That's a phenomenal place.
The archery group over in St. Francis Schools, the fishing. I don't know if you know about the fishing club up at Petoskey High School.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bass club, right?
It's a fishing club. They certainly fish, and I think they target a lot of bass, but they fish a little of everything.
Well, we had a donation of a bass boat, and we donated it. It came to our nonprofit. We donated it to a bass program. I can't remember which one.
Okay.
I don't think it was Petoskey. It was somewhere around here.
And something else that you and I have a strong interest together, mutual interest, that I'm really proud about our Tip of the Mitt Whitetails group, and that's out at Brave Hearts Estates, and taking all of our 100% disabled veterans out hunting and the different things that we've done with them out there. And that is near and dear to all of our hearts.
That is a amazing program out there.
Yeah, it really is. And with the dad that served in Vietnam, my grandfathers all served in World War II, and my mom even served in the military. And so for me, that's a big deal personally. And I know it is for the other folks in our
and I've got to give recognition to my friends, because I've got a group of friends that volunteers their time. We have hosted a ice fishing event for the past 8 years out on the ice, putting up a 16 by 24 wall tent.
I've seen that. I've followed you
And
guys.
That group of guys that takes time out of their lives to put that on is absolutely amazing.
It sure is.
We have ran into some challenges the last 2 years. We were not able to host it because of the condition of the ice.
Yeah, right. It's such a humbling experience, and the friendships that I've made by meeting these veterans. And what always gets me is they're always there thanking you. They just, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm like, no, you don't get this. This is one small way that we get to thank you for the services that you've given to our country and some of the amazing, sad sacrifices that you've had to give physically, mentally, and you've done that on behalf of our country.
Right.
You know, just I get choked up talking about it. It's really special.
Yeah, that's a good program up there.
It really is.
So
yeah,
we're going to try to regroup and maybe do like a salmon thing.
Yeah.
That way we could have a little more flexibility.
Nicer weather.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean by the flexibility. Because I mean, our event took so much planning.
Yeah.
There were so many amazing businesses in town that would help. And it was massive. I mean, it would take 2 months to plan these things. We'd pick a weekend and we're like 2 weeks out going, man, it's not looking good. We're 1 week out. We're like, oh man, there's water on top of the ice. And then a couple of days before, you're like, we got to cancel this.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of equity put into something to not be able to go through and do it.
Yeah, and then it's just not intended, but it's disappointment on behalf of the veterans that were, pretty excited to come up. And I know they understand that. They get it, but still,
Yeah, we just couldn't imagine having an issue because, as you said, these 100% disabled, some of them had physical disabilities. You do not want to run into an issue out on the ice.
No, you don't.
Ever. So we had to have conditions pretty good.
It's been fun. I sat in the deer blind with two different veterans this year, and they were both Vietnam veterans. And so that was a special connection for me because my dad served in Vietnam, so I could talk to the veterans about that. But then equally as humbling, though, is to see how young some of these veterans are that are 100% disabled. And it's just, there's no words to describe it.
My father-in-law is a Vietnam vet, and both grandpas are World War II.
Oh, thanks for their service.
Yeah, so
you know what I'm
talking about.
Bunch of good
people. Oh, yeah, for sure. All right, so I think we covered a lot of good topics.
Yeah.
Do you have any parting wisdom? Maybe you want to leave your daughter. She listens to this and goes, "Oh, Dad, that was so cool."
Well,
or not even her. Just think about a high school age kid or a parent. Say, "Hey, we got some major things coming in the future, and making these decisions. These are important decisions.
For sure.
This is a great conversation."
Yeah. I don't think you can ever start too early. So I hope the parents that are out there that are listening, you're having these conversations with your sons or daughters in middle school at the latest, to be quite honest with you. And then start to talk to your schools, talk to your counselors, and find out what opportunities that are awaiting your youth. Check out our Sharm ISD website, but then to the students and to the parents too, because that is your biggest fear. Like, what's next for my kid? Like, how can I help support them? I'm going to say it again. The opportunity that awaits our young people is unlike anything I have ever seen in my entire career. I'm in my 26 years as school administrator, and I taught a bunch of years prior to that. It has never been anything like this, and it's only going to get better. And so I really feel we need to be very strategic. We need to, as business folks out in the community, we need to be very strategic as educators, because as you know, we have a smaller workforce that's ready to enter, into this new field.
Right. There's some different challenges.
Yeah. But just do your homework, do your research, ask questions, make calls. If I don't know if there's a way we can share my contact information.
No, do it right now.
Yeah. I mean, anyone can call me, and I'll throw my direct cell out there, 330-2276, or our ISD website. You can always get on the Sharm Intermediate School District website, and then you'll see where there's a link to our CTE website. But we want to link you to all these different opportunities.
Sure. Are there any businesses that you're looking to get in touch with?
We're always knocking on doors of new businesses. That's the other thing. I can't say enough about the business support that we have. We have a list of probably 300 plus businesses that we connect with on a yearly basis in one way, shape, or form, from job shadowing opportunities to co-op experiences to they show up at a career fair for us. And so we always love to thank them, and we always send them something on a yearly basis, thanking them for their support. And I think they know that they need us as much as we need them.
Sure.
Well,
I got to give it to you, Jim. It's pretty impressive. you do a lot behind the scenes trying to architect. The title of this one, building that, being the architect of this purpose. There's a lot going on. You've done a lot of work.
Well, I'm going to say this. I get to be part of a really special team, and there's a big team at the ISD, our cabinet, but then our CTE team, and then all of our local districts that we get to work with. So there's no I in this, as you know. I mean, it is all team. And then we wouldn't be able to do this if it wasn't for the millage that we have that supports all that we get to do in our ISD. It lets you get to be innovative and you get to think outside the box. You talked about our STEM trailer and some of the other things that we have going on. Every staff meeting I have, one of the agenda items is what if, and I get to ask the staff, what is your what if idea? Not everyone gets to have those conversations, and we're very blessed to be able to do that within our IST. So I can't stress that enough. And
that's creative.
That's how these things have been able to happen, is we get to live in an innovative culture at our IST. That doesn't happen everywhere.
That does not. You're making this district much better.
Yeah, for sure.
So I want to thank you and your team for putting in that effort.
Yeah, you bet.
There's definitely a lot of lives that'll be touched. Having a different option than, going to school and coming out $200,000 in debt after, well, I'm thinking from my perspective, 8 years of college.
Totally.
That's what kids are coming out of school with now. So I just want to thank you for making some time today.
Yeah, anytime for you.
I appreciate it, Jim. All right. So if you're new to Purpose Maker, thank you for listening to this conversation. It's been an amazing one. If you'd like to get on the email list at thepurposemaker.com, you'll see the sign up on there. And we like having these awesome conversations about really, really important things going on in our lives. So thank you for tuning in today. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week and enjoy.